Hello and welcome. I'm Jon Garlick. I'm here with Captain Joey Stone of the Calhoun County Sheriff's
How you doing,
Office.
John?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
You look good.
Thank you.
You look good on TV.
I don't know
Your
about
wife
that.
probably appreciates this.
Yeah.
So what else we appreciate is the count. You guys have been working hard last week. Let's take a look. How many we get?
We got 2 more this week, thanks to the citizens of Calhoun County. You know, like always, keep those calls coming in. We want to, you know, we want your information, not your name. We catch these individuals, get them off the street, and get them behind bars.
5,111 people brought in.
That's correct.
By the citizens of Calhoun County since we've been doing this show for like, what, 20 years?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long
I think
time.
it's been close to 20 years. Nobody's around here anymore that remembers that long. But it's been a long time. Speaking of a long time, we just had a long time sheriff pass away.
Yeah.
Sheriff Roy Sneed. Jr.
Yes.
His father was sheriff beforehand.
That's
right?
correct.
So how many years was Roy Sneed Jr. sheriff?
He was the sheriff for 25 years.
And his father probably 25 before that, right?
Yeah. No, I think it was about 15 maybe before
15?
that, if I'm not mistaken.
A family legacy. I remember when I first came to town in 1985, Roy Sneed Jr. was sheriff.
Yes.
And then in 1996, 7, when did Sheriff Emerson run?
He ran in 94, took over 95.
So 94, I remember one of my early elections here being in the South was for Sheriff Emerson. And I remember thinking, you know, wow, the Sneed family's been running the sheriff's office for so long. That's kind of unusual for me. I think I'll vote for
another place.
Being from up north, I think I'll vote for that Emerson guy. But we want to thank Roy Sneed and his family and honor them for his legacy of law enforcement that whole family was.
Yeah.
Roy Sneed has a son working in law enforcement, I think.
Yeah, I believe he still does.
Yeah,
yes.
so we want to thank them, that family, for their service, and remember Roy Sneed Jr. for his dedication to this county. And we want to thank you for your dedication to this show, and we're going to take a break, and we'll be back here with an interesting guest and the first half of our lineup here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Our first half of our lineup brought to you this week by Speedy Bail Bonds. Their phone number 256-235-9090. First up this week, Al Lee Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for bond revocations on possession of marijuana first, bribing a public servant, and paraphernalia selling and delivering. Also, failure to appear on possession of controlled substance, possession of marijuana first, selling and delivering paraphernalia, bribing a public service, and promoting prison contraband. And this is William Wilson. Mr. Wilson, last known to be living in Piedmont. He's wanted on a bond revocation for trafficking methamphetamine and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And take a look at Markeith Simmons. Mr. Simmons, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for a probation revocation on robbery first and failure to appear on robbery first. And meet Juan Payan. Mr. Payan, last known to be living in Jacksonville. He's wanted on a probation violation for sexual abuse of a child under 12. And this is Kashim Smith. Mr. Smith, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for probation violation on burglary third and burglary second. And meet Shalicia Williams. Miss Williams, last known to be living in Atlanta, Georgia. She's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a forged instrument. And this is Joseph Harris. Mr. Harris, last known to be living in Ragland. He's wanted on a probation violation of possession of a controlled substance. We'd like you to meet Kevin Johnson. Mr. Johnson, last known to be living in Mumford. He's wanted for probation violation on possession of a controlled substance. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup that you might know where they are. If you do call Captain Joey Stone, you call, he hauls. We are here with Mr. Fred Smith from the Community Foundation. Greg, you're like director of grants, giveaways, money for free, that kind of thing. Joey's all excited about that.
That's right.
He likes free money. So you're over there. Why don't you give us a little bit of what the Community Foundation is and kind of what you do in
Okay.
grants and giveaways or whatever.
Well, the Community Foundation focuses on three main areas, and one is effective donor philanthropy, impactful grant making, and we also focus on collaborative community partnerships. In the vein of effective donor philanthropy, we assist and steward our community and donors in being able to live out their philanthropic dreams. We receive between $1 to $2 million in donations each year, and those donations are then translated into impactful community programs, transformational programs, and also lasting legacies for our donors. And so the Community Foundation has a rich history of allowing people to realize their philanthropic dreams. There's a quote by a gentleman, Nelson Henderson, and he says it, I think it kind of sums it up. He says, life is really about planting a tree that you may not be able to sit under its shade. And so when you are a philanthropist, many people feel that has to be a large donation, or it has to be a sustainable or a substantial amount of funds, where we do accept those large and substantial donations, but we also help just the everyday person realize that they too can be a donor. And as a donor, you help to make the difference in the lives of the community in which you live, even sometimes change the trajectory of some of the people that are going to be the beneficiary of the programs and projects that you're helping to support.
So it's a great way to maximize your, you may have some estate left over that you want to give, and it may not be a lot, but it's a great way to mix it with other monies and make a bigger difference, right?
Absolutely.
Now, the Community Foundation started out as the Stringfellow. It's a Stringfellow Foundation? What is that?
Well, the Stringfellow, it was started after the legacy of Susie Parker Stringfellow. And out of that, we have our largest fund, which is called the Stringfellow Health Fund. And so today, out of that Stringfellow Health Fund, we grant at least over $500,000 in grants each year to the community. The Community Foundation has evolved over the years since 1999, initially being first the Calhoun County Foundation, Community Foundation, in which we only focused on one county. But then over the years, we expanded to 9 counties now throughout Northeast Alabama. And so we have had the opportunity to partner with many, many organizations throughout Northeast Alabama and come alongside them and assist them in growing in their capacity, assist them in growing in their leadership, assist them in growing in their programming. So together our communities throughout Northeast Alabama can be strengthened because of the dynamic programs that not-for-profit organizations get to host and release to the community.
Well, that's amazing. So a bunch of other, how many counties did you say?
9.
9 counties.
Yeah, 9 counties. Yeah.
That's a tremendous growth.
Yes.
And I imagine that the donors, the monies that are coming into your programs, come from a wide variety of individuals.
Yes,
So-
and organizations, individuals and organizations, because we have a wide variety of different types of funds that we can set up so that people's philanthropic goals and dreams can be realized. And it's based on the donor. Some people are a one-time donor. Some people are continuous donors each year. And then some people give large donations for a particular purpose so that they can have a tremendous impact. But the end result is we have a stronger community, a better community. The people that are doing the work, we see them as our partners. That's the not-for-profit organizations that are throughout the 9 counties that we help to assist through the grant dollars and scholarship dollars that we actually present to the community. And so people's philanthropic goals and dreams can be really realized by partnering with the Community Foundation.
So when Stringfellow was around, well, you talked about the health fund. That was mostly centered on funding health and wellness kind of things. So you've expanded beyond that. So what kind of programs are you helping fund?
Yeah, so we right now are in the middle of a grant round, and each one of our funds that we have that we grant out of, we have a fall and a spring grant round. And each fund has its own guidelines, and which is basically terminology for an area of focus. The Stringfellow Health Fund, the largest fund, we pool and fund. We grant out $250,000, but we have smaller grants as well. We have funds that grant out $30,000 and $40,000 and $13,000. We focus on everything from childhood education. We focus on sustainability and capacity building for community organizations. There's one, the sheriff will, the captain will get and you also, John, with a background in law enforcement, will see the benefit of this one. There's a group called Extended Family, and they focus on helping children of incarcerated prisoners. And so what they actually do is they go into the schools and they work with the guidance counselors, they work with teachers, and they actually train them how to help children make the adjustment when a parent or a guardian has been incarcerated, so that they don't end up, internalizing the decisions and the choices that their parent or guardian made. And I've attended many of their workshops, and we've been funding many of their workshops. So we've had several workshops in Oxford, we've had some in Cherokee County, we've had some all around the 9 counties rather. And that particular program is getting a lot of traction and a lot of help, because we're seeing a lot of school professionals feel equipped, feel like, okay, what do I do when a kid is acting out in my class because their adult parent got locked up or their guardian got locked up? How do I handle that? How do I handle that behavior? How do I approach that? That's not really something that may be in the teacher's manual when you get your education degree.
Well, that's important stuff, getting into the schools and educating, working with the kids, and eventually educating the teachers and the parents on how to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk more about the Community Foundation and Fred Smith and his new certificate and fancy stuff here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Stay with us for the second half of our lineup. And welcome to the second half of our lineup. This half brought to you by Sonny's Bail Bonds. Their phone number 256-913-9759. First up this half, Janine McKee. Miss McKee, last known to be living in Gadsden. She's wanted for failure to appear on obstruction of justice by using a false ID. And take a look at Brian Matson. Mr. Matson, last known to be living in Talladega. He's wanted on a bond revocation for theft by deception first. And this is Paula Oswald. Miss Oswald, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for failure to appear of possession of a controlled substance. And meet Todd Bush. Mr. Bush, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance, domestic violence, strangulation, rape first, criminal mischief third, and attempting to elude. And this is Jordan Ripka. Mr. Ripka, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted on a failure to appear for burglary third, possession of a controlled substance, and theft of property first. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on these cases, please call Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-833-251-7867. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup. And if you did, call Captain Stone. You call. He hauls.
That's right.
Yeah. Speaking of hauling, Fred Smith is here. He hauls around a lot of money. Likes to give it away to organizations. Now, so we were talking about grants for the school system and all. Well, who is the ultimate recipient of these grants? What What do you have to be to get a grant from you guys?
So great question. You have to be a 501c3 organization. You have to either reside in our 9-county geographic area, or if your office or organization is outside of our geographic area, the program and the project that you're going to demonstrate has to be within our 9-county area.
What is that 9-county area?
That is primarily northeast Alabama. So,
All contiguous counties?
yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, you know, Clay, Calhoun, Talladega, Randolph, Etowah, Cherokee, St. Clair, you know, so those are some of the regional counties. Yeah.
Very large area.
A very large area. Yeah, very large
That's
area.
huge. That's a lot to administer.
Yeah, yeah. And it's good because we get a chance to focus and help not-for-profits realize that they are really not in a silo as far as the amount of work that they're doing. Many not-for-profits, they begin, and when they begin, they feel like, okay, I'm doing this work alone, but really, the not-for-profit sector is a very large sector throughout America, and then also within the state of Alabama. There are over 1 million registered not-for-profits in the United States. There are over 18,000 registered not-for-profits in Alabama alone. Not-for-profits make up roughly over 5% of the workforce in Alabama, which is around over 80,000 workers in Alabama, contributes about $13 billion to the economy in revenues if you put them all together. When you look at the amount of impact that not-for-profits have, they have a unique opportunity that's different than private corporations in that they have an opportunity to take an idea and produce a program from that idea. So that's very unique. So a not-for-profit really can bridge a gap that exists in a community that there may be no state appropriations for, there may be no federal appropriations for, there may be no existing programs for, but a person can form an organization and get the necessary guidelines and things that they need to do in order to form a properly formed 501c3. But when they start as an organization, they can address things in the community that ails the community for a long time. And really, it is an opportunity for organizations of passion, but then also purpose to come together. And that's what really makes a strong organization in the not-for-profit world. It's not just passion, but it's also a sense of purpose, because a sense of purpose will connect the head with the heart. Mm-hmm. You know, there is a thoughtfulness that has to go behind sustainability of not-for-profits, because we have so many not-for-profits and many people feel intimidated that, you know, if I start a not-for-profit, how is it going to be sustainable? Because I only know one grant funder. Well, with us, the Community Foundation, we assist people to say, well, you really need to decide, do you need to start a not-for-profit, or do you need to just partner with the Community Foundation of Northeast Alabama? And so a lot of people take that route because they say, okay, there's an area I'd like to address in the community. I don't feel like I can start a not-for-profit by myself, run it by myself, have a board of directors, have to keep minutes, have to keep financials. Mm-hmm. So why don't we just partner with the Community Foundation so that we can help address these areas in the community? And we do an outstanding job of keeping them current, keeping their books, keeping their statements, making sure that everything is up to par. And so they have peace of mind, right? So you have two sides. When you have a community foundation in your region, it's really a blessing, because you have so many opportunities and you get to decide, you know, what's the best way for me to make the difference that I want to make in the communities that
So
we
did I
serve.
understand that right? If I want if I have a 501c3 organization and it's set up and I've got a board of directors, Joey has, the sheriff's office has 2 different nonprofits, but they have a board of directors and they're functioning. You know, if they fit within the criteria, they might be able to apply for and get a grant. But then you were saying if I wanted to start a 501c3, I may not have to do that. I can just partner with you, or do I become the 501c3 but let you guys help me administrate it?
No, so what you would do is, if you don't want to start the 501c3, you can establish a fund with us.
Ah, gotcha, okay.
Right, and so the fund is then covered under our not-for-profit status. And so we do the management of the fund, which the fund has your focus and it has your purpose for why you started it. So it's still, within the fund, there's your passion, right? But we come alongside and we provide the expertise to be able to make sure that you know how to navigate the fund, how to administrate the fund, how to properly use the fund so that it can have its maximum impact.
So very quickly, because we got like 30 seconds left, what's your new position?
Well,
Or your new certification?
New certification. I recently graduated with my charter advisor in philanthropy, which is a graduate level designation that's given to people that sit the test. It's actually a very rigorous process that you have to go through. And once you graduate, you get this distinction. It's called a Capt. We have 2 other Capts in our organization and 1 more in Calhoun County, so 4 in total in Calhoun County that we know about. And so it's exciting because I have a new level of professional designation, but also expertise in being able to assist our community in reaching those philanthropic dreams and goals and helping them to establish the level of change and transformation in the community that they would like to see.
Outstanding. So Fred Smith is the community contact for everybody who nonprofit. You want some funding, contact the Community Foundation. Look for Fred Smith if you're looking to have a legacy for your family after you're gone or just during your lifetime. Contact the Community Foundation. Fred Smith will help you get there. Now, if you're interested in our Crime Stoppers portion or the crazy criminal, will you just stay with us here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted? And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask your help on the next couple of cases. Between September 9th and September 10th, a storage unit on Spring Branch Drive in Alexandria was broken into. They got away with 3 tubs of boutique clothing, a box of makeup, an airbrush makeup machine, and a college textbook, all taken from that location. And between August 12th and August 26th, a wood-burning stove, 4 mud tires, and 2 deer cameras were all taken from a home on Seven Springs Road in Jacksonville. And that's it for our Crime Stoppers cases this week. If you have any information on these cases, please call Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-833-251-7867.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Joey,
Yes, sir.
it's crazy criminal time.
It sure is.
Take us there.
All right, so
Look at those people.
yeah, down in Florida, this young lady, she decides, you know, she wants to rear-end another vehicle. So, you know, law enforcement's called.
With her car?
Another car, yeah.
Okay.
She rear-ends another vehicle. Law enforcement's called to the scene. They get there, and then, you know, eyes are glossy, slurred speech. They're like, well, this young lady's intoxicated. So you have to administer a field sobriety test at that point, you
Yes.
know. So they start giving this young lady a field sobriety test. And when one of the things you have to do is do a walk and turn, walk a line.
Yeah.
When she decides that that's her time to turn into a ballerina and
Step
start
ball
doing
chain, step ball
pirouettes
chain.
and maybe an Irish jig or something. And she decided she wanted to do a little dance for them instead. And then she said, you know, I think it just, you know.
It's too bad we didn't have the video for that.
Time
That
for
would
you
have
to-
been
yeah,
funny.
the video probably would have been a little better, but
Step ball chain.
she decided she wanted to dance a jig instead. So I believe she ended up going to jail for.
Well, it's hard to do.
DUI.
Did she stay on the line and do pirouettes?
Well,
Because that's hard to do.
That's
That would
hard
be-
to do.
You know, you do a pirouette for me and manage to stay upright on that line. That might be a clue you're
So
not intoxicated. I don't
Well, she
know.
may be a coordinated alcoholic. I
She
don't
may
know.
be coordinated drunk.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that happens. Now, Florida seems to get their share of it, but that, this does happen here, doesn't it? You do have stuff like that here.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
You've done some traffic stops with DUIs.
I have. I've done a lot of traffic stops with DUIs.
Have you?
So, yeah.
Do the
So,
nightstick test.
I don't get a lot of them dancing, though, you know.
You don't get
No, I
dancing?
don't get a lot of dancers. So.
That's too bad.
Yeah. It lighten the night up, definitely, you know.
You need some of that sometimes.
That's right. Sometimes you need some of that.
Now you're captain down there. We're real quick before we close. You're captain at the sheriff's office.
That's correct.
So we got the sheriff.
Yes.
We got the chief deputy,
Yes.
Lindy Meter, and then we got you as a captain.
That's correct.
And the other captain is over to jail.
That's right. So I'm over the law enforcement division,
Yep.
the deputies, and he's over corrections.
That's right. Under you got a couple lieutenants,
Yes.
and then a few sergeants,
That's right.
and a couple of corporals,
Yes.
and deputies.
And deputies. I wouldn't say a bunch of deputies, but we got some deputies.
Well, you're always hiring, and
That's
you're
right.
you're one of the key hiring guys.
That's right, I am.
Yep, and we're fantastic. So, thank you for being on the show, and we thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again next week, but not in the lineup here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.